MRT incident in Taipei. Woman attacks student with knife after eye contact. Taiwan considers major U.S. arms purchase including Aegis destroyers and F-35s. Taipei doctor sentenced for patient's death in surgery. Protesters in Spain demand resignations over flood response. 3 charged in connection with death of One Direction star. Mysterious black debris in Sydney was not tar balls. China unveils $1.4 trillion United States dollars stimulus package to boost economy. Pompeii DNA evidence contradicts long-held assumptions.
Hello, I'm Johnny. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It's Monday, November 11th, and here are your top stories. And for today's Taiwan news, a high school student was injured in a random attack on the Taipei MRT on 8th. The assailant, a 42-year-old woman with a master's degree, allegedly attacked the student with a utility knife, believing he was mocking her. Bystanders intervened, preventing further harm. The woman was detained on attempted murder charges. According to the Financial Times, Taiwan is reportedly planning an ambitious arms purchase, including Aegis destroyers, E-2D early warning aircraft, more Patriot missiles, and potentially F-35 fighter jets to strengthen its defense against China. A female doctor from Herxing Women's Clinic in Taipei was sentenced for medical negligence after causing a patient's death during a hysteroscopy. The doctor, known as a Bobo doctor, for studying medicine in Poland before returning to Taiwan to take the medical licensure exam, sparked renewed online debate following the incident. And in global news, thousands of Spaniards marched in the eastern city of Valencia on Saturday to demand the resignation of the regional president responsible for the emergency response to last week's catastrophic floods, which left more than 200 dead and others missing. A group of protesters clashed with riot police in front of Valencia's City Hall, where the march began before proceeding to the seat of the regional government. Regional leader Carlos Mazon is under immense pressure after his administration failed to issue flood alerts to citizens' cell phones until hours after the flooding.
Many marchers held up homemade signs or chanted, "Mazon resign." Others carried signs with messages like, "You killed us." Upon arrival at the regional government seat, some protesters slung mud on the building and left handprints of the muck on its facade. Mazon stated that there will be time to hold officials accountable, but that now is the time to keep cleaning our streets, helping people, and rebuilding. He said he respected the march. Mazon is also being criticized for what many perceive as a slow and chaotic response to the natural disaster. Thousands of volunteers were the first on the ground in many of the hardest-hit areas on Valencia's southern outskirts. It took days for officials to mobilize the police reinforcements and soldiers that the regional government had asked central authorities to send.
Argentina's public prosecutor stated that 3 people were charged in connection with the death of singer Liam Payne. The prosecutor's statement said that during the investigation, illicit conduct was discovered, leading to charges against 3 individuals for the crimes of abandonment of a person resulting in death and the supply and facilitation of narcotics. Payne, a former member of One Direction, fell from the balcony of a Buenos Aires hotel on October 16th. A person who was with Payne daily during his time in Buenos Aires is charged with abandoning a person, resulting in death.
A hotel employee is accused of supplying Payne with cocaine on 2 occasions during his stay, and a third person is accused of supplying him with drugs twice on October 14th. They are both charged with 2 acts of supplying narcotics. According to the prosecutor's office, toxicology reports showed that in the last 72 hours before he died, Payne had alcohol, cocaine, and a prescription antidepressant in his system. Payne reportedly had a recreational drug, typically containing MDMA, ketamine, and methamphetamine, in his system. His death was attributed to multiple trauma and internal and external hemorrhage, resulting from the fall from the 3rd-floor hotel balcony.
Weeks after sticky black balls washed up on Sydney's famed beaches, scientists say they have partly solved the mystery behind the disgusting blobs. Initially thought to be tar balls, the golf ball-sized debris turned out to be something quite different, a combination of decomposed cooking oils, hair, and food waste. The Environment Protection Authority said the investigation, conducted by the Australian government and scientists from the University of New South Wales, revealed that the black balls likely originated from a source that releases mixed waste.
The exact origin is yet to be confirmed due to the complex composition of the balls and the time they have spent in the water. Final results are expected in the coming weeks. Thousands of dark balls were discovered beginning in mid-October on multiple Sydney beaches, leading to beach closures across the city's shores. At the time, authorities advised the public not to swim near or touch the debris. Preliminary test results indicated that the blobs were tar balls, typically formed when oil contacts debris and water. However, further investigation suggested the blobs had formed from crude oil or natural oil seeps from the ocean floor. Additional analysis revealed an abundance of fatty, oily, greasy molecules typical of spent cooking oil and soap scum, as well as traces of recreational drugs and birth control medication.
China announced on Friday that the central government would allocate an additional 6 trillion yuan to local governments to address hidden debt issues. The program will take effect this year and run through the end of 2026, amounting to roughly 2 trillion yuan annually. China's Minister of Finance Liang Feng'an added that, starting this year, central authorities will issue 800 billion yuan annually in local government special bonds over 5 years, totaling 4 trillion yuan. These policies aim to reduce hidden debt from 14.3 trillion yuan to 2.3 trillion yuan by 2028.
It was widely expected that Beijing would unveil more stimulus after its parliament concluded a 5-day meeting. President Xi Jinping led a meeting on September 26 that called for strengthening fiscal and monetary support and halting the real estate market slump. While the People's Bank of China has already cut several interest rates, major increases in government debt and spending require approval by the country's parliament. That approval was expected to be granted at the week-long meeting of the legislature's Standing Committee, which ended on Friday. During a similar meeting in October of last year, authorities had approved a rare increase in China's deficit to 3.8%, up from 3%.
Centuries later, it turns out that the long-held assumptions about some of the people of Pompeii should not have been set in stone. New DNA analysis of skeletal remains in the doomed Roman town has revealed that some of the victims of Mount Vesuvius eruption in 79 AD were wrongly identified, highlighting how much modern-day thinking has been projected onto the ancient world. The authors of the research, published in the journal Current Biology, wrote, "We show that the individual sexes and family relationships do not match traditional interpretations."
Pompeii's victims were later immortalized by archaeologists who used plaster to fill the voids left by their bodies, and observers have long created stories based on these casts. One such story long assumed to be of a mother holding a child and 2 women embracing as they died. However, the DNA analysis has shown that the person thought to be the mother was actually a man who was unrelated to the child. Additionally, at least one of the people locked in the embrace, long assumed to be sisters or a mother and daughter, was a man. An estimated 20,000 people lived in Pompeii at the time, and many were consumed by a wave of ash, pumice, and mud, freezing them in place beneath a fresh layer of volcanic sediment.
The answer for last Friday was C, snow-capped. The snow-capped mountains looked stunning against the bright blue sky. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into the news of Pompeii DNA evidence contradicts long-held assumptions. Number 1, doomed. 注定失败或毁灭的. The project was doomed from the start due to poor planning. Number 2, immortalized. 使不朽，永远记住. The artist's work will immortalize the beauty of nature for generations to come. Number 3, sediment. 沉积物. The river deposited sediment along its banks, creating fertile soil. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comments section. The correct answer will be announced tomorrow. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune in to Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm Johnny Wu, your host. I'll see you next time.